Okay, so now I want to get into the two challenges for this week's assignment. I don't know if you've had a chance to look at it or not, but there are two different choices for the assignment this week, and I'm going to let you do either one, depending on mostly what level of challenge you want. Okay, this one, the web spidering application, is the more challenging of the two. Okay, it can actually be quite challenging, but in order to talk through the challenge, I want to just sort of clarify how web services work, because many of you may not be aware of this. But basically, when you're at your computer, you type in a web address like google.com or whatever, it sends your computer uses that information to send a request to a server out there somewhere. It finds that server by using that address, and it asks that server for a web page. Sometimes it's a home page, sometimes it's another page on the website, but it asks for a specific file is what it's asking for. So when you type in google.com, you're actually asking Google server, hey, send me the file for your homepage. It will send it back to you in a text document encoded in what's called HTML, hypertext markup languages, or hypertext markup language. That's what web pages are made of. So when that gets back to your computer, your web browser takes that language and it translates it into a visual representation of a web page. But since this is just text that's formatted in a specific way, we can actually use Python to do things with that text. And a web spidering application is what Google and a lot of our search engines out there are currently using to see what's out there. If you've ever wondered, how does Google know all of these web pages? How do they know they exist? Because it does this, it's got thousands of computers that just do this day after day after day, 24/7. They start at a web page and they go to that web page and they look for links. Every time it finds a link, it'll go to the next web page. It'll do the same thing on that web page. It'll look for links. It'll go to the next web page and the next one. And it will follow all of the links it finds until it has an idea of that whole website's structure. And then it'll go on to the next website. Of course, Google is doing more than just gathering links, right? It's trying to understand what that web page is about. It's using a very secret algorithm to decide how that web page should be ranked in the search or how relevant it is. So if I type Super Bowl halftime show, Google will come up with a list of pages, right? So let's just do it. Super Bowl halftime show. Now, of course, Google wants to give me the generative AI first now. This is new. But below that, I'm starting to get links. At some point, I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to start getting links to websites. Entertainment Weekly, NFL.com, Vulture, YouTube, right? And at some point, I'm going to get to ones that are very obscure. Okay, so these are ones that are just native results. But first, you've got the paid ones, you've got the advertising. Google sticks all kinds of things above that now. But it used to be, in the good old days, and when Google started, that the first response was actually the most relevant response based on what you were searching for, which was nice. Now Google's trying to push all this other stuff at you, or they let people pay their way to the top, that kind of thing. But still, somewhere in there is this ranking, okay? A huge percentage of web users don't ever scroll past like the first 5 set of results. Like, they've done studies of this. Do a search, pick the site that's most relevant to you. Most people don't even scroll. So getting this top ranking is a big deal. So Google's algorithm for deciding who gets this one versus this one versus this one is super secret. In fact, there's a whole industry called search engine optimization. You can hire people for $100 an hour to come look at your website and tell you how to improve your search ranking in Google based on what their secret knowledge of the secret algorithm, which nobody really knows unless you've worked at Google, and then you're signing, your firstborn to them if you tell anybody. So basically, don't do it. But anyhow, all of that to say is Google is doing the same process, but when they get to each page, they're trying to say, what kind of keyword searches does that page belong to? Or what's relevant here? What are the words? So it's looking at the structure of the page, it's looking at headings, images, all kinds of stuff. Right now, for this challenge, you're not going to do that much. You're going to, for each page, grab the title of the page and the web page address. Now, I've created a little test site on my personal web page or website called test.html, and it'll take you to something that looks like this. And this is what you'll see. You'll just see a heading, and that you'll see up here it says test page. That's the title of the page. Okay? And then we have some links. Okay? When I look at the source, if I go to view source in my web browser, it shows me the HTML code. Title, the title of the page is in between two tags here that say title. So that's the title. If I want to find the title of the page, it's pretty easy to find, right? There's a pattern. Every link you can see here has a pattern. It's href equals, and then the link is in quotes. Now, if I'm spidering this website, I want to follow links that go to other pages on this website, and I don't want to spider Google or Twitter, because if I start spidering Google, then I'm kind of hosed, because I'm going to have like 8 million websites that I start spidering. So you want the spider to record those links, but not follow them. When there's a link that says bmosley.com, you want to record it and follow it, so that you're following it through that whole structure and you're recording all of the things. So that site is actually live, bmosley.com test.html. So there it is. And just like in the images here, if I go to view page source, I can see the source code to that page. And if I follow those links, they go to other pages. Okay, and all of those pages have links on them. So there's a small, like 4-page website for you to spider. It's not super complicated. If you want a more complicated site, I'm sure we can find one for you. But your spider should work if you just give it the main page that you want it to start at. It should be able to follow that website all the way through. So you need to figure out what are the logical steps of spidering that website.